All right, hey everybody. Okay, so today we're going to talk about water. This is probably one of the most common places that people seem to struggle in their journey is being able to get in enough water. So first I want to talk a little bit about why you even want water, why it matters, what it does for your body, all of that kind of stuff. Then I have a few props laid out here that I'm going to show you some ways that you can get in a little bit more water and increase that water to get to where you need to be. So the first couple things I'm going to tell you, I have some notes on here. So first of all, know that your body is made up of 50 to 70% water. So you have a lot of water going on inside of your body. You literally cannot live without water. You can live without food. It might be unpleasant, but you can live without food for a couple weeks, as much as a month, they say. But you can literally only go a few days without water or you would die. So water is life. It's super, super important. So some of the critical functions that water performs is, the first one is it assists with digesting and dissolving nutrients from your food. So if you want your body to be nourished, you need to be able to have water. Food isn't going to be helpful to you, and the nutrients in your food are not going to be helpful to you if they can't be dissolved and used. The second thing is water carries waste out of your body in the form of urine and poop. So if you need to be excreting, you need to be consuming to be able to move it through. So that's super important. Water actually boosts your metabolism and makes you burn fat more efficiently. So that's a reason that you definitely want to be drinking water. Water helps your body send and process electrical functions and messages between your cells. So without water, you may get that like brain fog where you don't feel like you're thinking clearly, or even just simple things like snapping your fingers, for instance. Your brain might know how to do it, but it's not sending the message without all the water to be able to send messages. Water regulates your body temperature. So if you find that you're super cold, which is normal for us, or if you're really warm a lot of the time, sometimes it's because you actually don't have enough water. So water is going to help your body to regulate temperature. It's going to just minimize the effect of the super cold or super warm the more hydrated you are. Water lubricates your moving parts, so it makes it easier for your joints and your muscles and everything like that for your body to actually move. It replenishes the liquid inside of your cells. So your liquids that are inside of your cells, things like blood plasma, your bodily secretions, your lymphatic fluids, your urine, all of that kind of stuff needs to be replenished throughout your body, and water is going to be able to do that for you. Water also helps with the health of your hair, your skin, your nails, so much more. If you feel like you have dry skin a lot of the time, sometimes it's dehydration that can be doing that. Dry in your mouth, dehydration, dry eyes, all of that kind of stuff, you need water. So literally, water is life. So how can we drink more water, and how much water do you really need are kind of two questions that I get a lot of the time. So the health and nutrition guidelines about water say that ideally you want to be doing 1 ounce of water for every pound of ideal body weight. So if you want to weigh 120 pounds, then they say 120 ounces of water is kind of what your ideal is. I've also heard half an ounce for every pound of current body weight. So there's some different recommendations out there for what is suggested. In the bariatric world, kind of the guideline that we tend to go by is a minimum of 64 ounces of water a day. I like to suggest a minimum of 80 ounces of water. And my reason for that, if you have a minimum of 64 that you're shooting for, often you'll get in, say, 50 or 48. Whereas if you have a minimum of 80 that you're shooting for, you may actually be able to get in 64. We often fall just a tiny bit short because life gets in the way and it's not easy. So set your minimums a little bit higher and then reach for them. So how to drink more water. So a few of the things that you can do that are going to help rev this up to be able to give you a little bit more water. The first one that I suggest is set timers, either on your stove, on your phone, download an app, whatever you need to do, but set yourself some timers to get used to it. Because if you're just getting started in the water drinking game, or if you're kind of not doing what you should be doing in the water drinking game, you're probably not getting thirst signals. What happens with thirst signals is if you ignore your thirst signals for so long, then your body just stops giving them to you. Sometimes it will give you hunger signals instead because you do get fluid from your food. So sometimes that will fill your body's needs, at least their very minimum needs. But your body will just stop telling you that you're thirsty because you're going to ignore it anyways. So what's the point of wasting its energy sending you those cues that you're just going to ignore? So setting timers can be really helpful in the beginning. Eventually your body will start to get thirsty and you will start to crave those fluids. But at first, setting the timers can be helpful. There's apps that you can download. You can just set alarms on your phone, the alarm on your stove, on your microwave, whatever you need to do. Just have things buzzing and beeping at you. You can get fancy bottles. I saw the Hydrate Spark one posted the other day that actually will flash at you or beep at you when you need to drink water as well. So you can do things like that that will help to encourage the fluids too. The next thing that's going to help is the bottle itself. So I don't like super huge water bottles. I prefer 16 ounces as kind of the maximum size that I do. And my reason for that is that I like to be able to finish my bottle of water and feel the accomplishment of, woohoo, I did it. Whereas if I have like a 32-ounce bottle, it just feels hopeless. It feels like I'm never going to finish it. So I prefer something that is a little smaller. When I was very early out from surgery, I often used 8-ounce bottles because, again, I just felt like I finished them really quickly. So I'm going to show you just a few different options and some of the things that I like and don't like about them. So I almost always try to choose a bottle, and it's going to be hard to see on this one. Here, I have a better option here. I almost always try to choose a bottle that has the measurements up the side of how many ounces. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it has the ounces up the side because I like to see how many ounces I've drank. I like to see how far I have to go. So I just like that visual cue. So something like this, which is actually just like a shaker cup for protein shakes, something like this is something that I drink out of. I have a 2- and a 4-year-old that tend to spill things, so I like anything that has a lid on it. If you do just use a regular kitchen glass, make sure you measure how many ounces this holds. So just either pour from one of your measured cups or an actual measuring cup itself and see how many ounces it holds. So you know if this is 10 ounces, you know how many of these you have to drink in a day, 6.4 of them, or whatever. So you just know exactly where you're at with just a regular drinking cup. So then you can do things like this. This is an infuser bottle. It's kind of an old school one. You put the fruit in the bottom, which we'll talk about infusing afterwards. And then you fill the water in the top part here. It just has a wide spout. There's no straw or anything like that, no sipping. So that's another option, is just a cup like this. I got this one because I like things that are pretty. I find that if it's a pretty cup, I'm more likely to carry it around. I'm more likely to drink from it. That's just me being kind of silly about it, but it works. This one here, I like using at the gym. It has a little spot under it. I think it's a Tupperware bottle. And I put my keys for my locker and stuff in here. Then it has a spout for drinking, so it's more of like a squirt rather than just a gulp or a whatever. So I used this a lot early on as well because I found that it controlled the amount that I drank a little bit easier. This one, again, I already showed you. This is a straw one. I'm not suggesting to use a straw, but if you use a straw, it's just another option. Again, the pretty pink cup, and again, it has the measurements all up the side, which is what I like. Then, if you're going to do just regular bottled water, pay attention to the bottle itself. So this is the Starbucks brand, the Ethos water. So I buy these when I go to Starbucks, but I don't actually love these ones because I find the spout too narrow, and I just don't love drinking from them. I don't find that I drink as well. Everybody has seen these ones. These are the Voss water bottles. They have a pretty wide spout on them, which is partially why I love them. They are my absolute favorite bottles to drink from. I usually have about 4 of them in the house at all times. I use them for infusing. And I just refill them we have like the water thing on our fridge, and I just always refill them. So these are my absolute favorite bottles to drink out of. And then this other one is another one that I really, really like. So it's just a Tupperware one. Again, it has a lid, it has a wide spout. So just another one that I really like. So the bottle itself is important. So find a bottle that you love. I've seen them with like motivational quotes up the side of them, all kinds of different things. But if you like it, you're more likely to carry it around, you're more likely to drink out of it. All right, now we're going to talk about the Flavor Flav. So you want your water to taste good. A lot of people don't like just plain simple water. So if you love plain water, then drink plain water. As much plain water as you can. Ideally, if it's plain, it's kind of the best case scenario, but the other options that I'm going to give you really aren't that far off. So if you don't love plain water, don't worry about it. For me, I usually try to do 16 ounces of plain water to every 16 ounces of flavored water. And I'm going to tell you the different ways to flavor it in a minute. So I always try to at least include some plain water into my daily water regimen. All right, so then some of the ways that you can flavor it. The first one, you guys see these all the time, that I love, tea. It doesn't have to be these exact teas. Apparently, these are really hard to find in the US. You can go to David's Tea. You can just go to your regular grocery store. I like fruit teas. Anything that's herbal and caffeine free is going to count as water. So these are the Tetley ones. There's the Mojito. This is a peppermint tea. This is the Cosmo, the Bellini, and the Pina Colada. These are the best ones that I've found because I love fruity teas, and these ones are really, really good, but there are other options out there. The peppermint tea I really like. I've seen people put like either mint leaves or drops of peppermint essential oil in their water as well. I brew peppermint tea and then I add fruit to it and drink it cold usually for that. So this is just hot tea that I've brewed. You can drink it like this and it counts completely as water as long as, like I said, it's the herbal and caffeine free. So you can brew it and drink it hot, which I usually do at least once a day. Or this is tea that I've then cooled down and poured into a bottle. So this, I believe, was the Cosmo. No, this was the Peach Bellini. So what I do is I brew the tea, and then I just put my little funnel here on, dump the tea into the bottle, and then put it in the fridge. If I want it sweeter, which sometimes I do, I'll add a little bit of fruit to it as well, and that will sweeten the tea, so just a little bit extra. So cold tea or hot tea. You could also add a few drops of stevia or something like that in here if you want it even sweeter. So tea is a good option. The next one is what's in this bottle here. These are water enhancers. You can buy them in all kinds of different ways, the Crystal Light type things, the drops that you squeeze in. I try to get them when they're sweetened with stevia instead of the aspartame and Splenda and all of that kind of stuff, so just a more natural sweetener. These ones are Krista brand. You can find Skinny Girl, I know, has them. There's loads of Truvia, I believe, has a brand. There's loads and loads of them that you can use. These ones are just little packets. So you just dump them in, dissolve them in about 16 ounces of water. I like these ones because I don't find that they're super strong in terms of taste. They're enough that it flavors my water, but not enough that it's almost like making me pucker up because it's too much. I find Crystal Light to be really, really sweet. You can also water it down a little bit extra if you want, but just another option. I try to do maybe one of these a day. So I try not to go crazy on these. It's just something if I need a little something extra. So maybe one of these a day, but I always have these either in my purse or in the pantry so that it's, again, just another option. All right, next things that count as water. I don't have these ones out, but if you have any sugar-free popsicles or anything like that, or you can make your own, those are things that count as water as well, so that will help because it definitely counts as your fluids. Jello is another one that counts. Again, if you do the sugar-free Jello, especially when you're early out and you're having a hard time getting down a lot of water, Jello really helps, and it does count as water. Next one, we all know how I love my greens. These are the Cyto greens. This counts as water. It is an awesome way to energize yourself and to just feel really good. They do taste a little bit green, but not like horribly green, and it counts as water. All right, last way that I get water down, and this is my absolute favorite. Sorry, I'm just going to push some of this stuff out of the way. There we go. I love, love, love infusing water with fruit. So you can infuse it in a number of different ways. Again, these are just the Voss water bottles. You can use the fancy infuser water bottles that you can buy, whatever you want to do. But the Voss ones I find work really well. The fruit sits in them really good. They get super flavorful, and I just find them to be about the right size. So this one here, I'm going to give you some of the options that I do. So in this little bowl here, I just have, I always like to do a citrus and a berry is almost always what I do. I use frozen berries because I find that they leak flavor just a little bit more into the water. Plus they turn the water a little bit of color, and I just find that it makes me, I don't know, I like it better when it's frozen. So I tend to buy the mixed berries. This one is a strawberry, blackberry, blueberries, and raspberries. I rarely use two berries in one water. I almost always separate them. So for instance, we have orange raspberry here, and then I have lemon blackberry, and then this one's actually lime and cucumber. But I rarely use two berries in one. I don't know. You can do whatever you want, though. Honestly, the options are endless for how you flavor your water. But I just like the mixed berry because I feel like I get the most like bang for my buck out of it. I don't use fresh berries nearly as much, especially blueberries and strawberries. I find fresh, they barely give any flavor off at all, but frozen, they do give some flavor. With blueberries, you're going to need more of them than you do with some of the other berries because they don't leak nearly as much flavor. So those are just some of the little tips and pointers. I tend to usually do fresh citrus. So again, I have oranges, lemons, and limes here. I love all of those. You can also do grapefruit if you like grapefruit. I'm not a big grapefruit fan, but it is another way to flavor your water. Or if you don't have fresh, I will sometimes use the juices. And it tells you on the bottle how much you need. I usually just put a squirt or two in, and then I'll add my berries or whatever else I'm adding. If I'm sweetening tea, I will often put lemon or lime in my tea as well to give like a little bit of sweetness to it. Literally though, you can do anything with your infused water. So I tend to do a quarter of a lemon or a lime and about a quarter of an orange is what goes in one of these. And then it's probably only a tablespoon or two of fruit. So for strawberries, it's usually like 2 or 3 strawberries. Raspberries, depending on the size, like 5 or 6 raspberries. Blueberries, a couple spoonfuls, so you're probably looking at 15 or so blueberries. Blackberries, probably again about 6. So it's not a crazy amount of fruit. I don't count the calories from my fruit that I put in my water. You can if you want to be obsessive about it, but you're really not consuming them. Then the other part that I do is I tend to let the fruit infuse the water twice. So it's in here now. I put it in the fridge, usually for at least an hour. Ideally, the longer you let it sit, the more flavor your water is going to have. So I put it in, let it infuse, then I will drink the water, refill with water, put it back in the fridge, let it infuse again, drink it again, and then I dump my fruit because then I find it really doesn't have a lot of flavor left to it. You can do it as many times as you want, as many times as your fruit is getting flavor, or giving flavor to your water. It's whatever you want to do. There's really no rules of infusing. You can also use fresh mint leaves, or there's loads and loads of options for how to infuse your water. It's really whatever you like. Cucumber lime is one of my favorites. I also really, really like the orange raspberry. It's really good. And I really, really like raspberry and lime as well. So honestly, it's just whatever you enjoy and whatever's getting you drinking more water. The next thing that I did want to talk about though is temperature of water. That we all kind of have different temperatures that we like our water at. I tend to like mine just a little colder than room temperature, but I don't like it fresh out of the fridge. So I tend to, when I finish eating and I'm waiting my 30 minutes to start drinking, I take my water out of the fridge then and let it kind of like come to room temperature for 30 minutes before I start drinking it, because that's the temperature that I like it. I also, in the evening, I find it harder to drink water in the evening, and that's when I go to my hot tea and drink tea in the evening because I find that to be comforting and soothing. So play with different temperatures. Play with super, super cold. Play with popsicles and ice cold, Jello. Right out of the fridge, with ice in it, without ice in it, warm, look, there's the dog, warm, hot, whatever you want, but just play with the different temperatures, see what you enjoy, see what your body likes, and what you respond the best to. There's no right or wrong way when it comes to temperature. And then the last one is, about getting more water in is focus on your water. Make this a daily goal. So you know what, if you set the goal for 64 or 80 ounces or whatever amount of water you're setting the goal for, and you only get in 48 ounces, well, you know what, did you get in more than that yesterday? So if you were only at 30 before, and now you're getting in 48, you're definitely improving. So just keep setting that goal, keep setting that intention to drink your water, and that will be amazing. And then reward yourself. So for me, one of the things is that I absolutely love drinking coffee, but I will only drink coffee if I've already consumed 16 ounces of water, and I won't have a second coffee in the day unless I'm at least between 30 and 40 ounces of water, so that I know that my water needs are not suffering because I want to drink coffee. So yeah, that is, and then like I said, I only use one of the little packet things a day, and I have to have already drank at least 16 ounces of water before I start that. So I just make myself these little deals all the time. And could I cheat on my little deals? Of course I could, but who's it cheating? Just myself if I do. So just little ways like that I try to get myself to drink more water. And then I also really, really focus on making sure that I drink at least 16 ounces of water between each meal, and I'm eating 5 to 6 times a day. So that means that I'm always getting my water needs met. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope I've given you some ideas on some new ways to drink water, and I will continue to post some more infused water recipes so that you guys can get some more ideas. And if you have some fabulous ones, I'd love to hear them. And I can't wait to hear all of your water successes. So I will talk to you very soon. Bye!